Welcome to Honestly Speaking, a safe place to be unsafe. Life commentary and dialogue from a biblical, logical, cultural, and comical perspective.
Hey, what up, everybody? It's your girl Lee from Honestly Speaking. How are you doing? Hopefully, you've had a great week. You have people that's pouring into you, and you have the ability to pour into people. So, we're going to dive right into it. Last time we talked, I spoke about accountability, responsibility, and humility. Today, we're going to talk about hypocrisy. It's been so much going on this past week. You've had people dressed in armor, and you've had a need for the full armor. So, without further ado, let's talk about hypocrisy and why it affects everything and how we fight our own hypocrisy. So let's talk. People are upset with the government because of their hypocrisy. Then you have individuals who are upset with the hypocrisy of those who are upset about the hypocrisy of the government. Bruh. And then so on and so forth and so on. So before we even get started about all of that, let's just talk about what hypocrisy is. Hypocrisy is the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform. In short, it's when you're being fake. And think about it. This is why a lot of people don't like religion, because of the hypocrisy that people can see. In fact, the Bible speaks about this hypocrisy, but everybody has it. So we already spoke ad nauseum about the hypocrisy of the government, from the creation of slavery, from the creation of race, as well as the hypocrisy of those who speak out against the individuals who believe in the sentiment of Black Lives Matter, but don't do anything themselves to support the Black lives around them. That's definite hypocrisy. But going back to that chart about how racism works, when we talk about things on a personal level, I think that's where we kind of get lost. We either start pointing the finger at people or we stop taking responsibility. And the moment we stop taking responsibility, there's no way for us to hold ourselves or anyone else accountable. So what do I mean by that? You talking about the time when you was on the choir and you had a girlfriend and you was a weed head and you thought it was all good because you used to have smoke-free Sundays and was a vegetarian? No, but that was definitely hypocrisy. I was a hypocrite. Are you talking about how you tend to look at social media more than you meditate on the word of God? No, but that's hypocrisy too. Are you talking about how it's easy for all of us to point our fingers at other people, but really don't want to look at our own shortcomings? That right there. That's what I'm talking about. So my question is, where are you hypocritical? Like, really, I said this before, and I think it's very important to talk about. We cry out for God to be just. And we're like, God, get them. You know, I've even heard some Christians claiming, oh, I don't pray for the president. He's crazy and all that stuff. That's ridiculous and it's sin. I mean, literally, by definition of what it means to be a Christian, we are required to pray for those that we perceive and are actually our enemies. That's one of the first signs and number one commandments of being a Christian. Now, at the same time, it doesn't mean being a sucker. So oftentimes we believe certain lies, and we're going to talk about that later. But where are you a hypocrite? I'll wait. Where is your hypocrisy? Are you someone that talks about health, but you don't have self-control over your appetites? And I mean any of your appetites. Sexual, physical, as in food, visual, as in what are you taking in, audible, as in what are you listening to? Can you control those appetites? Are you somebody that's constantly talking about how people want a good mate or they want a specific partner in a relationship, but if I were to ask your ex, be it your ex-wife or your ex-husband, they'd have a lot to say about how you're not really a good person? Do you preach about humility or talk about the need for humility, but you prideful to the mug? In short, do you have one way that you live in front of people and one way that you live in private? Or are you the very thing that you're talking about, but you just don't see it? I'll wait. We see a lot of this, you know, people saying Black Lives Matter, but then don't want to talk about all Black lives that matter, as in the womb, or on the other side, all lives matter, but won't even acknowledge that black lives is included in that all lives matter, come on, it's hypocrisy. And it comes from a lack of humility. And what it does is it shrinks our circle and keeps us more isolated and more divided and more polarized. Crazy. And it needs to be called out and fought. And the way we fight it is, 1, by acknowledging where we are hypocritical, 2, by having a tribe of individuals that's going to hold us accountable, and then 3, be humble enough to accept that correction. Also, humility is not when you think less of yourself, it's when you think of yourself less. It ain't all about you, boo. It ain't. My mission is bigger than me, and your mission is actually bigger than you too, but it does include you. It has that balance. It's not about you, but it is for you, and it includes you. Plus, I have this theory. Every area where the church has fallen short, the devil has a lie for. So, when it comes to racism, the devil speaks to those particular wounds and then creates all types of false beliefs and systems that lead people astray because the church didn't speak to those areas. We even see this when it comes to gender and the sexes. You do realize that in most cases, feminism wouldn't even exist had not it been for misogyny. That's what I mean. And then feminism goes bananas, and now people aren't just feminists, a lot of people are against men as a whole, and that is ridiculous, and it is hypocrisy. You see how it works? That's why it's important to have a standard as well as individuals in our tribe that's going to hold us accountable. And so, speaking of tribe, as promised, I'm going to start highlighting people, and today I'm going to highlight some of my brothers. When we talk about frontline workers, we got to talk about dads, like this dad. He's a single father, and he's also a volunteer coach, and is a great dude. And look at this squad. They call themselves fam. They've been friends since high school. In this group alone, you have community activists, teachers, veterans, frontline workers. Heck, even one of them is a Purple Heart who actually started an after-school art program for at-risk youth. And speaking of the arts, there's this professor, community leader, activist. Not only is he an educator at a HBCU, but he combines his passions, his gifts with his protests in order to produce results. And speaking of producing results, you have this brother, this husband, this father of 8 that works to encourage and inspire young people on a daily and is motivated by something greater than him.
I'm a servant of Christ, and so we got 8 kids. People got to eat. So one of the things that motivates me is taking care of the family. I wouldn't say necessarily that justice motivates me. I think doing justice is a calling. It's something that we're all called to do. That's just biblical. So doing justice is just is a part of who I am. Ultimately, you want to hear God say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Like that's my ultimate goal.
And speaking of good and faithful servant, it's this man right here. He is a great husband, father, leader in his community, church. He is a radio show host. He is a part of a local COVID task force. He bridges gaps through race relation discussions, and he has been able to use discipline to master his health, and he teaches young people how to channel their emotions through sports and with his mentorship. And I had to talk about this brother right here. You talking about somebody who came up from the streets. He was about that life. I'm not going to tell his business, but I am going to have him talk to y'all a bit about what he likes to do in the life of young people since his life has been turned around.
What keeps me engaged with young men? And that's really simple. What God has done for me, I wanna be there to do for others. When I was a young man, I wasn't really fit for life, so to speak. I didn't have some of the life skills. I was smart, but I didn't have some of the life skills and some of the skills to be able to engage life and take life as it was. And what I needed was a stable older man in my life to say, wait a minute, don't overreact to that. Somebody who had been through some things, somebody who had been through the same things that maybe I was going through, who now can give me hope from the other side, and that's one of the things that young men need most is hope. And I was a young man without hope. And so when I met Jesus Christ and he gave me hope and he gave me a new life, life, I really promised that I would always try to be there to do that for other people and minister to other young men who were in a similar situation to myself. So I'm the OG now, having come out the other side. And so when I talk to my young guys and all these guys out here, we gotta settle in and lock in on, okay, what's your plan? Okay, you're mad, you're angry. They're telling you you got no hope. They're telling you you're not going to make it. Okay, do you believe that? I was told the same thing, that I was an endangered species. I'm being hunted and I had no hope. But people gave me part of the truth. And I believe in giving these young men the whole truth. One of the things I always say to them is, look, I'm never going to lie to you. I'm always going to tell you the truth. The truth is that there is hope, that you can make better decisions. You can put yourself in a situation where you have better outcomes. And we try to focus on what these young men need, maybe through providing work opportunities and job opportunities. A lot of what they need is just life skills, the emotional tools and emotional, mental, and psychological tools to be able to handle the difficult things that are going on in their lives without panicking, without jumping off the rails, so that they don't make these horrible decisions as young men that they're going to have to deal with the rest of their lives. Just know that I'm going to keep doing this as long as God gives me breath. I'm thankful to what Jesus has done for me, and I want to keep sharing that with these young men.
So trust me, when I say that there are many brothers out there who are doing their thing, from educators to local activists to people who work in their prospective communities, they are out there. So I'm just going to give you this kudos right now and pray that you continue to do what you do. Remember, do not discount the days of small beginnings, and don't grow weary in your well-doing. And while everybody else is doing all that talking, your walk is doing a lot more than your talk. And that's all I got for this episode, folks. Peace. Wait. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. Or hit subscribe, like, and then share. But just make sure you do all three. And I'm very grateful for the brothers that I highlighted today. And please know this is not an exhaustive list. There are many more that I'm probably going to shout out sometime in the near future. And next week, I'm looking so forward to highlighting my sisters. So yeah, again, hit like, share, and subscribe. All right, I'm out. I got a pimple. How am I 40 and breaking out? Bees like that at times. Peace.